Happy Friday! It's me, Jerry, checking in again with you here on Encouragement and Motivation Friday. And I'm delighted to be here with you today. It's been a busy week for me, and I'm sure it's been a busy week for you. And real quick, I wanted to tell you the reason why I do my encouragement and my motivation on Fridays, even though you'd think that's something that you'd want on Mondays. I do it on Fridays because way back, in my early days of being a mom by myself before I got married, the weekends were sometimes the biggest challenge, for me, learning to navigate those early days with a little child. And sometimes, even though the weekends are supposed to be our rest time, that's the time that we end up doing a whole lot more work. And sometimes it's also the time that we spend beaten up on ourselves. And so I decided to make my encouragement and motivation videos for you on Fridays so that we can go into the weekend with some positive thoughts that possibly when we have a little bit more time on the weekend, we can frame those into something that will start our week out in a positive way. Last night, I listened to a really wonderful meditation that I get every week from one of my spiritual coaches and mentors. It's phenomenal, and I'm so blessed that that comes to me every Tuesday. And I want to chat with you a little bit about the 3 concepts that I learned last night in that meditation. And basically, they're celebrate, forgive, and release. And just to touch base with you, how that related to me is this. I've got an awfully bad habit of in the evening, the late evening, and first thing when I wake up in the morning, that's the time that I rehash nearly every word I said, every emotion that I had, every interaction that I had. And it's not usually in a kind way. I'm usually nitpicking every single thing I said, every single way that I acted, and every way that everybody in my little world reacted and acted towards me. And even though I know a lot about how your first thoughts in the morning really frame your day, sometimes it's just a tough one to kick for me. It's like my checks and balances system, and it's so important to me to be accountable for my thoughts and my words and my behavior that sometimes I overdo it and I nitpick too hard. So that's one of the key elements that I got from the first part of that meditation was celebrating how you were today. And even if it was grumpy, because as humans, we are grumpy. As humans, we're fallible. As humans, we are never going to be perfect. And that's the toughest thing, I think, for a lot of us to accept. Because if we're not going to be perfect, then where's the middle ground? And I think the middle ground is owning it. And in the meditation, it talked about celebrating it. I know that might not be something you can easily attach yourself to thinking about as celebrating being a grump or being frustrated or being snippy or wishing that you had said things differently. But a part of that celebration is just celebrating that you aren't perfect. And if celebration doesn't work for you, then just ride with own it. Own it. Today, I was a grumpster today. Today, I let frustration control and frame my emotions, how I treated other people. I own it. Because if you do that, then it's easy to click in number 2, which is to forgive yourself. And that's the second thing that I'm just not so good about, because I want to be so good for myself and for my people that it's hard for me to forgive myself because I should have known better. I know better. I I know how important it is to give my messages and my words love and care when I deliver them to other people. But no matter how much I keep wanting to pound on myself, I just gotta let it go and forgive myself. You know what? Quit trying to hold myself to some impossible rung on the ladder that is really not worth my time in stressing and trying to climb and achieve for. So once we get, and I kind of said a little bit of that there when I was talking about forgiving ourselves, but I found this last night. I mean, it's something in the meditation, you know, we said to each other, or we said to ourselves more than once, and it was a part of a breathing exercise, you know, breathing in and releasing, and breathing in and forgiving, and breathing in and celebrating and owning those things. So the last thing that brought us to then was to release it. And for me, I release mine to God. I release my anxieties and the issues that I have with myself back to Him, because I'm a part of that plan. And if that's not your thing, no problem. Release it to paper. Write it down in your journal. Write it down on a piece of paper and throw it in your fireplace, or set it on fire, or write it on a napkin and flush it down the toilet. But find some way to let go of that and release it. And if that's meditating for you, do that. Find some way to release the things that you keep clicking around in your mind that are holding you back from moving forward and living the life that you deserve to live. And that's an amazing all-purpose life. Today, I really wanted to dive into this book that I want you to read so bad. But, you know, I get that we don't really know each other that good. And I want you to learn that when I talk to you, I'm always speaking from my heart and from a place of love, so that when we get into some tougher subjects, like what that book addresses, and we get into doing some hard work together, that you know that I'm speaking from a place of an imperfect human. I'm just a mom. I'm just someone that God put here, hopefully to bring the best light and best love to the world, because I think that's a big part of my job. And in order for me to really be successful at that, I've got to let go. I've got to celebrate and own who I am. Celebrate who you are. Celebrate what you did today, whether it was good, whether it was bad, and own it. Because you know what? Just as soon as I wanted to beat myself up last night for things I said or things that I did, I realized that I was letting that overshadow all the awesome things that I did yesterday, because I did a lot. I got a lot accomplished and did things outside of my box that I don't normally do. So by celebrating it and owning it, over and over, I have to remind myself that. And as I celebrate it and really latch onto that, then I can forgive myself. I can just look at it, I can reflect on it, I can be accountable for it. Forgiving yourself and owning it's not common not being accountable for it. It's really giving yourself the space to be accountable for it, because once you are accountable for it, then it's not that hard to forgive yourself. And then once you forgive yourself, you can go into that space of finding a way to release it. Thoughtful prayer, meditation, journaling, walking, exercising, whatever it is that gives you a way to finally get that away from yourself, so that you can just breathe and relax and enjoy life. Because the more time we spend caught up in our head and caught up in beating ourselves up, the more time we take away from enjoying life. And right now, all you know is you got this one. So make it the best that you possibly can. And if you need any help or any encouragement, write down there. Put it down there. Send me an email. It's in the about. I'd love to give you a kind word. Thank you so much for joining in, and have the best day ever.